When a wealthy former pro boxer met the love of his life in a Latin dance club, he thought he met the ultimate knockout. Little did he know, she had other plans for him and his money. Ramon Sosa still can't believe the woman he loved tried to hire a hitman to take his or the crafty way he was forced to foil her plan. Lulu Sosa wasn't Ramon's first wife. The former pro boxer and Houston gym owner had lived a full and exotic life already by the time he met her. Ramon was born in Puerto Rico and grew up in the boxing world with his father as his trainer. He turned pro when he was 17 and never looked back. They used to call me the Puerto Rican Express. After several years in the ring and several knockouts under his belt, he decided to hang up his gloves and head for the U.S. to pursue the American dream. He married and had 3 children while he built his dream of owning a gym and teaching boxing to others. The marriage ended in 2007, and Ramon felt ready to re-enter a different kind of ring, the dating ring. A friend of his told him about a dance club nearby where a lot of beautiful Latina ladies were regulars. When Ramon arrived, he wasn't disappointed and immediately set his eyes on Lulu Durantes. She was very attractive. She looked very nice. She danced very, very well, so I just kept my eye on her. Lulu noticed the attention she was getting and made a strategic move. She stepped on his toe. Ramon and Lulu had an instant connection. They stayed on the dance floor together all night and soon began a romantic relationship. Friends described them as fun-loving and generous. Lulu doted on Ramon, bringing him coffee and rising early with him in the mornings. They were a happy couple that complemented each other and worked on the relationship. So after only a year, Ramon popped the question. Lulu Durantes became Lulu Sosa on March 15, 2009. She was originally from Mexico, where she divorced her husband and was awarded custody of her 2 children. She had moved to Houston to start a new life for her family shortly before meeting Ramon. In 2010, the couple opened a second gym location, this time with Lulu working as a bookkeeper and personal trainer alongside Ramon. The 5,000 square foot building had over 200 monthly subscribers, and the couple was on top of the world, or so it seemed. Ramon's daughter Mia had an inkling that her stepmom was anything but the loving and caring woman she pretended to be. She didn't want anything to do with us. We were like just nothing to her. Soon, Lulu's distaste for her stepchildren was obvious. She complained when Ramon would see them or spend money on them. Ramon says there was so much animosity between Lulu and his children that they weren't there for his wedding to Lulu. By the time their 6th wedding anniversary rolled around, the couple was pulling in $18,000 to $20,000 a month in profits from the 2 gyms. But Lulu's unhappiness was growing by the day. She confided to friends that she resented Ramon for staying home as she went to the gyms to conduct the daily business. She said he would often come home inebriated and get physically rough with her on occasions, despite a lack of bruises or any other proof. Around this time in the marriage is when Ramon started to think money was missing from the gyms. More and more new faces were becoming members, but the bottom line at the gyms wasn't adding up. It didn't take long for him to realize where at least some of the missing money had gone when Lulu hired a divorce attorney in 2015. She took photos of scratches on her legs and arms and sent them to her lawyer, saying Ramon had tried to force himself on her and she feared for her life. Ramon claims the photos are fabricated, all but one anyway. Lulu had submitted a photo of a hole punched through a door. Ramon admitted to doing it. Despite fearing for her life and all her allegations, she remained in the same house with Ramon after she filed for divorce. In June of 2015, Lulu's complaining took a more serious turn. A friend of the couple, who asked to be called Mundo, was working out in the gym when he overheard a conversation between Lulu and her 16-year-old daughter. They were talking about a new gym customer who had a reputation as a thug who knew rough characters like Hitman. It was the end of the conversation that startled Mundo the most when he heard Ramon's name mentioned. He confronted Lulu the next day. Lulu told him that Ramon physically attacked her regularly and she couldn't take it anymore. She wanted him to disappear. Mundo, being from the mean streets of Houston, had a reputation of his own. He felt that Lulu was serious and worried about his friend Ramon's life. So he took it upon himself to stop Lulu from carrying out her plan. I gave Lulu the impression that I was going to reach out to a hitman, that I have the guys already ready. Mundo convinced Lulu he believed her stories and would help her. But it was actually all a ploy to protect his friend Ramon, who he called as soon as he left the gym. Ramon called the police, but they said there was nothing they could do about an angry wife spouting vitriol. They needed more evidence. The pair of boxing buddies came up with their own undercover sting operation. The first step was to make sure Lulu believed the plan. Mundo would meet with Lulu to discuss the hit on Ramon and send messages to the hitman while she waited. He would relay the messages back to Lulu, who never suspected it was her husband playing as his own hitman on the other end of the phone. Mundo recorded conversation after conversation with Lulu as she repeatedly endorsed the hit and promised to pay with Ramon's truck, jewelry, and cash. Ramon and Mundo began to fear that Lulu had a second hitman waiting in the wings. Ramon bought a gun and carried it everywhere with him, even to bed. Mundo kept the pretend negotiations on track, acting as the middleman between the fake hitman and Lulu. All this time, Ramon and Lulu were still living under the same roof, but by the end of June, Lulu got a restraining order against Ramon, and he was forced to move out of his own home and stay away from the gym they owned together. Ramon and Mundo decided it was time to ramp up their investigation. Mundo told Lulu that the hitman needed a $200 deposit to purchase the 9mm handgun needed for the hit on Ramon. She paid for it. They now had proof to take to the police. Once the authorities heard all the recorded conversations with Lulu, they knew it was enough to take action. That's when the real sting started. Police decided it was best to keep Mundo involved so as not to stir suspicions. So he kept stringing Lulu along, assuring her he was trying to get things done as soon as possible. Finally, he let her know everything is a go for a meeting on the night of July 20th with the hitman, who was really an undercover agent. Lulu agreed to the meeting in a parking lot not far from the gym. She brought several watches and jewelry as a down payment and went to an ATM and withdrew $500, which she brought back to the hitman to seal the deal. Once money exchanged hands, police had enough to arrest Lulu on the spot. But one thing still troubled them. They were afraid a jury would feel sorry for Lulu and her claims of Ramon's tirades on her. They decided to show the true horror of what Lulu tried to accomplish by taking a photo of Ramon in a grave with a bullet through his skull. The idea was to show the photo to Lulu and use her reaction against her in court. Police used actual photos of people as references for the makeup they put on Ramon, and it rivaled any Hollywood movie. Next, they used an unused county access road to dig the fake grave. Ramon laid down in full makeup as police shot the disturbing photos. The next step was to show Lulu the photos and get their final payment. A second meeting was arranged between Lulu and the hitman in the same place, but this time it was all caught on camera. Police had everything they needed to arrest Lulu.
Maria Sosa is talking about her husband, who she thinks is in a shallow grave, seen laughing at a picture of what she thought was the body of the man she married.
They arrived at the gym and took Lulu back to her office and asked her if she had seen Ramon. She played dumb, but the police knew better and she was taken into custody.
Okay, Miss Sosa, stand up, please. You're under arrest. Okay, you're under arrest.
In October of 2016, Lulu pleaded guilty to the reduced charge of secondary solicitation to avoid trial and possibly a life sentence. Instead, she received a sentence of 20 years. Her projected release date is August 22nd, 2035. Do you think Lulu would have gotten away with her plan if Mundo hadn't stepped in? Tell us what you think in the comments section. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing news content in your feed.